Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Bug Rock of the Week. Mojang has just officially fixed the biggest issue in the 1.18 update, and that is how do you upgrade your old existing worlds to the new 1.18 terrain. As you might know, they have raised the build height by 64 blocks, and they have lowered the build height by 64 blocks as well. So figuring out how to upgrade your existing worlds to the new 1.18 terrain is actually quite the complicated process and quite the complicated issue with a lot of different possible solutions. However, Mojang has just came up with a very good solution that I think is going to be pleasing to a lot of people. It's going to make it so that you can play any Minecraft world that has ever existed in the new 1.18 update with absolutely no issues at all. It doesn't matter if your world is from like a beta Minecraft 10 years ago, if it's a super flat world, or if you just made it last week, you'll be able to play it in 1.18 and it's going to upgrade to the new terrain really seamlessly. I've previously made an entire Bug Rock episode all about this issue, their solutions, possible solutions, and possible problems, so if you want another deep dive on more information about this, then check out that video and the iCards and everywhere else. But right here I have a little bit of a demonstration to kind of break down this solution and problem to you. So right here you can see a little bit of a demonstration of what a Minecraft chunk is in 1.17 or any update before that. So you got your bottom of the world down at Y0, this would typically be a layer of bedrock, and then you got regular terrain going up to about Y64, and just air above that to 256. Anything below your bottom bedrock layer would just be void, and this is like a pretty standard Minecraft world for the last decade. Now, upgrading this to 1.18 previously was not a very good process, so anything going from Y0 down to Y-64 was just completely filled in with bedrock. Your old worlds from 1.17 or before will be upgraded to have new terrain underneath all of your old chunks. So the layer of bedrock at Y0 is going to be removed and replaced, and then you're going to have new cave generation going all the way down to -64 below all of your existing worlds. Now, this is an optional thing that comes with a couple of different options and toggles, and we're going to check that out in today's video, but that is the basic breakdown of this issue. Now, of course, when you're upgrading to 1.18, you also get the added world height above you that goes up to 320, I believe? Something like that. So hopefully you understand the basic idea now. Let's go ahead and demonstrate it. We're now playing in the current 1.17 update, and I've drilled a hole all the way down to the bottom of the world. As you can see, this goes to Y0. And as you can see, of course, we have all of the bedrock here going up to about Y layer 5. We also have a tester super flat. As you can see, I've drilled a hole in this one as well, although it is not very impressive. This hole, of course, goes down to Y0, and we have a layer of bedrock at 0 as well. So we're going to upgrade both of these worlds to the latest 1.18 beta and see what happens to them and see how they get upgraded. It is worth noting that nothing is going to change with your worlds unless you turn on the experimental caves and cliffs toggle, which is this one right here. That's going to activate and create a copy of your world. So now we can load up this world and see what the generation changes are. As you can see, all of the bedrock that was previously right here has actually been replaced with deep slate, which is so cool to see. That is an amazing piece of Minecraft technology right there, being able to update existing blocks in a Minecraft world. Now, as you can see, I placed in this piece of bedrock manually, so this is only going to affect bedrock that was actually placed by world generation. So if you placed any bedrock in your world down to the lower layers, it is not going to get changed automatically by this update. Anyway, as you can see, we have actual brand new terrain generation right here. If we dig a hole going straight down, you'll notice that the new bedrock layer is all the way at -64, all the way up to about -59 or so. So the bedrock floor of your world has officially been moved down, and everything from 0 all the way down to -64 is going to be the brand new terrain generation. As you can see, we actually do have a cave opening right here, so this is all really awesome to see. Such cool Minecraft technology. I'm so glad Mojang was able to figure out this fix and get this working properly. This was by far the biggest issue with 1.18. So yeah, pretty much anything and everything that you would expect to find in the cave update, you will now be able to find below 0 in your Minecraft worlds. All you gotta do is dig down and you will find it. It's not really going to have any impact on your existing builds. If you placed anything on Bedrock, it's just going to be updated to be placed on Deep Slate instead. And now you can just dig on straight down, find yourself a bunch of new caves, find yourself a lot of new ores. So I have a feeling that about 85 to 90% of you are going to like this change and be excited to have new cave terrain underneath your existing worlds. However, for the rest of you that aren't so excited for this terrain change, don't worry. There is the possible option that we're going to be having an option to either generate new terrain underneath our existing chunks or do nothing at all. There is a message from King B Dogs on Discord, one of the Minecraft developers, and he's saying that eventually we're going to have a toggle when we first open the world. It's going to come with two choices, either upgrade the caves to have new terrain underneath Y0 or simply do nothing at all. But we will have to wait and see exactly how that toggle works out or if it will be added, so don't freak out if you're not too excited about this change. Okay, I've done a bit of sleuthing around. It appears that this is actually from King B Dogs in the SciCraft Discord. However, it's a little bit unusual that this wasn't mentioned anywhere on Twitter. Usually stuff like this is announced in a more official manner, so maybe it's just not quite ready to be implemented yet. Either way, I'd still say take it with a grain of salt. It might be a little while until we see this toggle introduced. And if we upgrade our super flat world to the new Caves and Cliffs experiment, as you can see, not really anything happens at all. But as you can see, the build height and build limits have been increased, so now we can go all the way down to Y-64 with this build. There is no changes to the terrain whatsoever, and basically you can just go downwards a little bit further now. There is one more change to the super flat worlds. If you generate a new one in the Caves and Cliffs update, the bottom of the world is going to be at Y-64. As you can see, our coordinates are currently at Y-60. So pretty straightforward upgrade process for your super flat worlds. Nothing is really going to change, but if you make a new one, all of the actual terrain generation will be lowered down to the lowest part of the world, and that basically means that you can go upwards by about 380 blocks. Dude, that's a lot of blocks. So here you can see what I was talking about earlier with the Bedrock. This chunk is from 1.17, and everything below Y0 was upgraded to 1.18 and put Bedrock underneath of it. Obviously not a very good change, and unfortunately, if you've been playing in these betas and experiments, that Bedrock is going to be there to stay if you have any of it in your world. There's nothing they can really do to remove that and generate new terrain there. So if you have Bedrock underneath some upgraded chunks, it's just going to be there forever, basically. However, underneath your new chunks, you will see the new cave generation. There's also quite a few other bug fixes in today's beta. Copper ore will now generate properly all the way up to Y96 instead of being limited to Y64. These betas have a lot of issues with beehives, and by a lot of issues, I mean there's a lot of beehives. As you can see, basically every tree in the flowery biomes has a beehive on it. And honestly, I'm kind of here for it. We have a little bit of a bug fix for mob pathfinding, and this time mobs that take damage from fire, etc. will now pathfind around fire. This is mostly true, however, they kind of cut corners when pathfinding, so they still get set on fire. We can demonstrate this by summoning a skeleton on the opposite side of this. They will target us, walk towards us, and as you can see, they are cutting corners, so they're still stepping in fire. There's still a little bit of a bug to be fixed here, but overall it is much better, as previously they'd basically just walk straight through all of those flames. Now, zombies are dumb, supposedly, so I've been told, so they just jump straight through the fire. No issues at all. You big silly. It hurts, don't do that. We have an awesome change to the Elytra that I've been waiting for a while. So previously with the Elytra, you could only activate it as you were falling, but now you can activate your Elytra as you are going upwards in the air, either from jumping or being launched or being pushed upwards by a slime block. So if I can time this correctly, you can see that I can activate my Elytra basically immediately. I don't need to wait until I reach the peak of my jump and then start falling. So this is going to make it so much easier for mobile players, people who play on laggy worlds, realms, and servers to activate their Elytra, and in general, it's just going to be a lot easier to fly nowadays. Not only that, but run flying is now a pretty good method of travel. It's going to be a lot faster than run jumping because you get a little bit of glide in it, especially if you get to areas where you got a lot of downhill like this. You can travel across much easier nowadays. Sadly, we still cannot activate our Elytra in water. As you can see, that is just not a thing that we have. So hopefully this is the next thing that they change with the Elytra. If they do that, then Elytras will pretty much be as good as they can be on Bedrock Edition. We have yet another change to the dyed and glowing signs, and this time it has to do with the custom formatting that you can do using the stacked S symbol. That is the symbol right there that you use to customize your signs in this way, and there's multiple different ways of getting it, just like copy pasting it or whatever. Anyway, as you can see, you can still apply custom colors and the boldness and of course the squiggly text using the stacked K symbol, and of course you can make these signs glowing or unglow them, and that's all perfectly fine. However, today's change has to do with an overwrite to these custom colors, so if you click on a sign with a dye, it is going to completely reformat it to whatever color you click on it with. And that is kind of an interesting change. I don't really know what to think about this, because you can put a lot of effort into custom coloring, and then someone can just come along, click on that sign, and just completely undo all of your work. Now, if you dye a sign with the custom boldness or the custom squiggly text, that will not be gotten rid of. It'll just simply be recolored. We also have a fix to mob spawners in this update. If you're not playing in the Caves and Cliffs experimental mode, these things should now generate properly. I mentioned this in a previous episode, probably a couple of times, but it is worth repeating. Iron golems have now been fixed so that they will no longer spawn on things that they shouldn't. They will now only spawn on solid blocks. So if you're having iron golems spawn on slabs or beds or in general wonky and weird things, they're now only going to spawn on the solid blocks of your iron farm, meaning that everything should be fixed and back to normal. And there goes an iron golem just to prove the point. While I'm here, I would like to talk about beta 1.17.30.25. There is basically nothing in this beta, but in the name of covering every single Bedrock beta, we'll check out this one single bug fix. Fixed invisible blocks in the end. So as you can see, this bug purely has to do with the spawn platform and the end dimension rendering invisible. This is kind of a bug that we've seen around in many previous updates of Bedrock Edition, but never specifically to the end platform. It usually happens to the outer end city islands when your end is corrupted. And that is pretty much all there is to this bug. It's now been fixed and resolved, so nothing to worry about there. And there was also beta 1.17.30.24. This is also another micro beta with basically nothing in it either, but there's a couple of changes to blocks, a little bit of world generation changes. So the world generation bug that they fixed is this one right here, where parts of the world below Y0 would appear invisible, and as you can see, this is a pretty gnarly looking bug, and definitely one that you want to get fixed before the update releases, and of course, this bug has been fixed, so you shouldn't see this happening anymore. If you see any bugs similar to this, of course, go ahead and put that on the bug tracker, that way Mojang is aware of it. Look how nasty that is, oof. That's bad. The two other bug fixes of this beta include top snow now falling properly when the blocks under it are broken, and withers now properly dropping a nether star when they are killed, which I would argue is a very important bug fix. We don't want these guys destroying half our world, killing us 40 million times, and then not even dropping a nether star, but as you can see, they are dropping those properly. So what do you think about Mojang's solution to the biggest problem of 1.18? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you have any ideas for how they could change it or tweak it or any other possible solutions or problems, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. This is a problem that has to do with basically every single Minecraft player, because I'm sure we all have a lot of worlds that we would like to get upgraded in 1.18. Otherwise, that's going to do it for today's episode of Bug Rock of the Week. I hope that you have enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next episode where we cover a bunch of other betas and full update releases, including news on Trident killers and the like. But otherwise, if you have enjoyed today's video, then of course consider leaving a like. It helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then maybe subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes. And I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.